I've got that live.
Oh, you already fired that up? Did you fire this one up?
I didn't fire this one up.
Oh,
I
okay.
hit live on the MultiSport Mojo Facebook feed.
Okay. Waiting for the. Got the music going? Hold on.
You're listening to AZRadio.live's production of our MultiSport Mojo podcast featuring Steve Harper and Captain Rick Taylor. You can hear the MultiSport Mojo wherever you get this podcast. And now, without further ado, here's Steve Harper and Rick Taylor.
Hey!
I like that. Hey, welcome to all you triathletes, swimmers, riders, and runners, newbies, and 10-timers, 8-hour finishers, or 16-hour survivors, or age grouper gurus doing homework, gathering the insights, answering your questions to make you faster, fitter, and fresher in triathlon training, and especially in race day. I'm your host, Steve Harper, with MultiSport Mojo and Tri Gear Guru, and alongside me is my good buddy, Ironman certified coach, Kirk Taylor.
What's up?
Hey, we're both age groupers, Ironman, triathlon, and marathon vets, and everything else multi-sport in between, here to get you from start to finish. Remember to like us on our Facebook page at MultiSport Mojo, all one word, where you can weigh in and ask questions, and we'll answer them in an upcoming podcast. Follow us on our Twitter account at hashtag MultiSport Mojo, and go to Tri Gear Guru, that's TRIGearGuru.com for more content, insights, and great prices on everything triathlon. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Try Hard Triathlon Coaching, specializing in getting you across the finish line in your first triathlon and beyond. Contact Try Hard on their Facebook page at Try Hard Coaching, TRI Hard Coaching. And AZRadio.live, your home for independent music artists. Discover them here and promote the betterment of your community. We're broadcasting live from Big Mike's recording studio, headquartered in Scottsdale, Arizona. Need to record an album, broadcast a radio show, polish up your blogs, Facebook Live feed, or even record a podcast? Contact Big Mike's recording studio at AZRadio.live and get all the polish of a professional recording studio at a price that fits your startup budget. Kirk,
Yeah.
talk to me.
Hey. How are you today?
I'm good. Hey, I understand there's a birthday in your family. You want to do a shout out?
Oh, yeah, it just so happens that today is my mom's birthday. So we've got two viewers of our program. It's my mom and your mom.
For sure.
And so, hey, half of our viewers are celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday, Mom.
Hey, I've got a shout out as well to my oldest son, Kel. He's a I almost said big BYU. I'd have gotten in big trouble. Big and ASU came out BYU. So I'm sporting Sparky in the fork today. He graduated from ASU yesterday in health and wellness. He's headed on his way to be an athletic trainer. I love it. And that means free tickets into wherever he lands a job for pops.
That beats being an athletic supporter.
Well, hey, listen, that means I've got PT for the rest of my life. And I paid for that college education, so don't think I'm getting it for free. Hey, we're here.
Nice.
This is a podcast number 3 for us. And we're here in Big Mike's studio. It's palatial. It feels for real. We hope that this is valuable for everybody, and you hope that it's for real. Listen, today's topic is transitions. We've talked about our first triathlons. We've talked about training for your first triathlons. This is all about first timers and getting first timers from start to finish. So let's talk about transitions. It's a topic that as you get into training for your first triathlon strikes some fear into the hearts of many a triathlete, because many triathletes don't train for it. You swim, you get on the bike, and you get your runs in, and then you get to race day, you got to start laying out your transition, and okay, I've never done this before. And when I come into transition, I don't know what this feels like to go from the bike to the run. And I think I'll tell you what, let's talk about our first triathlons. You talk about Rocky Point. I can talk about my first little one and then St. George. But let's talk about our first experiences.
Yeah, my
Because yours was epic.
transition, yeah, I had well, not super aggressive goal, but I had a goal. I wanted to do sub 3. That's very doable for an Olympic distance. And I felt pretty confident that I could do this thing in under 3 hours. Well, I came in at 3:03, and that was really mostly due to very prolonged transitions.
Which is now, I think it's normal for your first
Sure,
race, right?
Sure. Yeah, and especially somebody that doesn't really know what to expect. And this
Right.
was, 15 years ago, something
Right.
like that. And there really, there was some information out there online. I had a couple of books, or I don't know if I had even purchased a book yet.
How
by
did you
that
find
point.
it? What did you know about transitions going into
No,
the
all I
race?
knew is that I, should have a wetsuit. I did not have a wetsuit. I had a wakeboarding suit that ended up chafing my neck. I had rashes on my neck.
So you didn't have a triathlon wetsuit, you had a
No.
surfing wetsuit.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even really a wetsuit. It was just one of these down to your knees and short
Yeah, the
sleeve.
shorting.
Yeah, wakeboarding suit.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it kept me a little warmer, made me a little more buoyant, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah.
So I knew that I needed that, and I wore just a pair of compression shorts underneath it. I think that's all I had, so I had to put on the bike shorts, put on the bike jersey, get the
Right.
socks, the shoes, the whole 9 yards, the helmet, the sunglasses.
Yeah.
So that, because everybody else is coming in and leaving, and I'm still standing there just trying to get a leg in my bike shorts. And then get off the bike, same deal. I didn't realize, well, I guess I may have known that there were outfits that you could get, that you could just go from one to the next, but I did not have one of those outfits. So again, it's off with the bike shorts, on with the run shorts,
Yeah.
take the bike jersey off, put the run jersey, and then obviously you got to put your running shoes on. But it took me forever. It just took forever.
Right.
Each transition for me was a good 10 minutes,
Right.
if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it obviously doesn't need to be that long.
Right. So, you look at 20 minutes, there's a lot of free time you can
Oh.
pull out of there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, for my first, not knowing anything, and I'm a little OCD, so I think I'd pulled up some YouTube videos, and I watched a couple of guys come in from the swim to the bike, and in and out in 30 seconds. And I thought, how hard can this be?
Right.
Really, how hard?
Sure.
You come in, it's off, the wetsuit's off, you throw it down, you get your suit off, my shoes are clipped into my bike, right? Because that's what they do, and
Yeah.
I get on my bike and I'm going. I put on my helmet and I thought, well, that can't be that difficult. And I got to the first sprint, and I didn't have a tri-suit, and I got out of the pool. We didn't have wetsuits in this one, so it was easier. Got out of the pool, and then I put. I think for the first time I realized, bike shorts. So I guess I put my bike shorts on over my soaking wet
Right.
trunks, right?
Yeah.
So I put them. So now on the bike, now I'm chafing about minute 3. That was no good. And then it was sitting down because I didn't know how to get on a bike with the shoes clipped in. That would have been an accident waiting to happen. And I think when I thought about it, race morning, I clipped the shoes. I can't do this. What am I thinking? I can't. So I had to put the shoe, and I got to put socks on because I've never ridden without socks. So I put the socks on. I put the shoes on. I get the helmet on. People are screaming, "Let's go, let's go!" Right? I don't know how long I was there. I was sitting down on the curb. I think I was making sure the ants didn't get into I laid my towel out so I could sit down because I don't sit on concrete and ants. It was forever. And then coming back in, it was the same. So my first real triathlon was at Ironman 70.3 St. George. Still, I thought, okay, I got this down. I still didn't clip my shoes in because I wasn't confident. But I still took forever. And now you got to get the wetsuit off, and you got to pack that. And I'm OCD, so I've got a million things in my bag, and I'm packing and I'm unpacking. And I tried to keep it organized, but still, it took forever to get out of there. 7, 8, 9, probably.
From swim to bike?
From swim to bike,
Yeah.
and then from bike to run. I was managing my legs that didn't feel like going anywhere. I wanted to be out for the pizza, not going out on a 13-miler. Even though it was down, I felt so. I think I got the towel back out. Okay, there's the towel.
Yeah.
I'll lay the towel out. I'm gonna be
Sure.
here for a minute.
Yeah.
Nobody rush me.
Right.
And get the socks, change the socks, get new socks on, put the shoes on, get a hat, take a deep breath. Where's a donut? Can I do anything to just delay this another minute longer? And I think it was another 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. It took forever, but it didn't feel, at the time, it didn't feel like forever.
Yeah. So what about Body Glide? Is that something you do? Does that help?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you
Well,
wear that?
Vaseline and Body Glide, for
Yeah.
sure. Vaseline, well, I do both.
Oh.
Because I can slather, I take, in each if you're T1 and T2, now that I've learned, T1 and T2 are in the same spot, I'll have a big tub of Vaseline. If they're not, I'll have.
In transition.
In transition.
Okay.
Yeah, although taking a thing of Vaseline with you can be pretty popular out on the bike and run course. You had your own Vaseline. I'm sure that if you had it out on the bike, you'd get some takers. But
Isn't
for
that
me,
what those little packets are that they give you?
oh, maybe.
I thought those were like
I know,
scented
they're,
Vaseline.
Tongue depressed. Stop.
Huh? The little packet,
Yeah,
that's
now
not
you're taking
just.
my, oh yeah.
I
Oh, that's
thought
the
that was like-
worst tasting that's the best smelling Vaseline I've ever put in my.
It's like edible Vaseline.
Terrible, terrible. Yeah, spreading rumors, getting people in trouble. So I would I'd get a slab of Vaseline and put it in between my crotch, all over my chest, all on my neck.
Wow.
And then I'd get into T2. I'd do the same thing. Along with Body Glide before the races.
Yeah.
I am not getting chafed anymore.
Triathlon is painful enough without having to deal with sunburn and chafing, right? And blisters. What about
And
blisters?
blisters.
What, is there something you do to prevent blisters? I know we're supposed to be talking about transition here, but
Well, no, because I
since
think
we
it's
talked
all.
about Body Glide.
Well, I think you
do
prevent
Body Glide
those
on the
in
feet?
transition. Oh yeah.
And when
and Vaseline on the feet, all over my toes and ankle. Yeah.
So do you do that in T1?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no wonder it takes you so long.
I'm there for a good long time.
Yeah.
And I put socks on. I like to ride with, when I bike, I
Sure.
like to ride with socks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've gotten hot spots biking.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely.
right?
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, without question. So, all right, let's talk swim to bike. What do we do? How do we make for a good, quick, solid transition?
Well, I'll tell you what, for me, and I'm an age grouper, I'm just a regular Joe, right? I mean, even though we've got a few more under our belt these days, I'm still just a regular Joe. So for me, even though I think for me,
So how do we do a regular Joe transition?
now I know the components of it, and I'm not as freaked out. So I'm in more of a process. You know, from swim to bike, I'm coming out of the water, I've got a wetsuit unzipped as I'm coming up the ramp, or I'm coming onto the, whatever it is, as I'm coming in. And I've got it around my waist by the time I get to my bike. Or if there's a wetsuit peeler, bam, I'm there off, and I'm running to my bike. When I get to my bike, I stash the suit. I still am not good at getting in my bike shoes already clipped on the pedals. So I'll tell you what, man, I do my best not to sit down, but I end up sitting down. I end up sitting down for a sec just to get socks on, shoes on. I try to get everything organized so that in my helmet or my glasses, and I can get my helmet, boom. In my shoes are my gels and a little sandwich baggie that's sealed that has ibuprofen or whatever else I need. And boom, and those go right in my back. And I'm out. And I think I'm pretty good at about 3, 4, 5 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken that to about half, and I'm comfortable getting in and out. I think for me, being organized, trying to limit all of the backup choices. I've learned that sadly I learned, if weather's gonna be an issue or weather's potentially an issue, you wanna have some of that in your transition. I knew it could be, but I really didn't think it would happen. And I should have, at one race, I know the weather went absolutely sideways coming out in transition in T1, and I didn't have the right stuff, and I had to get out of there anyway. But to try and limit as many choices so that it's simplified getting in and out of there. And then practicing. I practiced a little going into my first Ironman 70.3. Now I still practice, I'll probably practice T1 and T2 a half a dozen times before a race, like
Yeah.
real for
Yeah,
real
yeah.
practicing. But still, and then and I get into race day and I still want to feel calm. I think your advice of just take a deep breath, get in, pays dividends down the road.
So here's a little tip, a little trick for all the triathletes out there. So if your race involves running over grass or even a little bit of light gravel, sometimes even just the parking lot, if you're on asphalt, you know how there's just little tiny pebbles and little tiny pieces of asphalt and whatnot. Or especially if you do go over grass and if there's a lot of dry grass or it's recently been cut, you get to your bike and your feet conceivably, potentially, are covered in grass or pebbles, and asphalt, you know, and so you definitely, I would highly recommend that you've got just a water bottle that you are dedicating to spraying your feet off with.
Yeah.
Clean the feet off. Because it just stinks. I mean, what are you gonna do? Put Body Glide all over the grass or just take forever to get that grass off? So I have a bottle pretty much every race that is there at T1, you know, it's there at T2 also if it's at the same place. But so, and you've got a towel. So I've got a dedicated water bottle and foot towel to clean the feet off, just so that I can get the feet as clean as possible.
First thing you do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Sit down, boom, clean them.
Or I do it standing.
Yeah.
So that, and then you don't get all that crap in your wetsuit.
Right.
Right? So just get your feet clean, use your towel, use that water bottle, and you'll feel so much better for your ride.
Do you use Vaseline or Body Glide?
I do. I definitely use Body Glide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In T1?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put it on before the race. I put it on before the swim. I'll put it around my neck and just anywhere else that I'm thinking I'm going to end up chafing.
Right.
It definitely goes on the feet. For me, Body Glide is, you know, I can get it on pretty quick.
Yeah.
If it's a
Body
shorter
Glide versus
race,
Vaseline?
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a shorter race, I may not do Body Glide, but definitely for a full Ironman, absolutely.
And where are you putting it? Where are you putting? Because I use Body Glide and Vaseline. I'm a little overachiever.
Anywhere one may chafe. And some spots that you may not think of. So, you know, you want it around your neck for sure when you're on the swim, because your wetsuit could chafe your neck pretty bad. But then I've also found that kind of like on the back side of my arm, on my back, for whatever reason, that tends to, on the bike, I don't know. So,
Really?
yeah, I have a couple of,
Just
I guess, I don't know. Is it, what's that muscle back there?
you got muscles I don't have.
But anyway, I don't know. So,
And then you.
oh, sure, everywhere else.
I mean, I don't want those red
All the
streaks
unmentionables.
on my shirt.
Yeah.
Well,
And all the nooks and
listen,
crannies.
All right, listen. You're triathletes, so we're speaking to our homies, right? This is a crowd where we can say, put it on your chest,
Well,
put
sure.
it in your crotch,
Yeah.
and be generous.
So, and if you don't put the Body Glide on, which you should, be ready to, you know, have your package of moleskin ready, because otherwise you could end up with some pretty serious blisters on
You know,
your
and I'll
feet.
tell you what, I didn't realize, I knew Vaseline and Body Glide in the crotch and on my chest for the run, for sure. Then I put it on my toes and around the back of my heels. But I didn't appreciate it until after some pretty heavy training going into my first race, that how important it is on the bike.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What else? Anything else on T1?
You know, I think having a plan. I think that comes with some practice. So I think too many. First, I get a lot of questions that say, you know, what do I pack? Well, I think you figure that out when you practice. You know, I think too many people get into their first race with a shopping cart full of stuff, and you don't need all of it. And when you get into transition and you've got so much stuff to try and get through, it just slows you down. And then you start to think, well, do I need 9 goos? Do I need no? Figure out what you're going to need to get to the first aid station that are going to have more that you can refuel on. Races have Gatorade Endurance. I'd start practicing with Gatorade Endurance, because
Yeah.
on those aid stations, it's Gatorade
Sure.
Endurance. So I've got one of those parked on my bike in T1, ready so that it's an easy flow all throughout the race. Okay,
Excellent.
T2.
Excellent.
T2, coming to the
Oh,
bike and.
hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what about bike identification?
Oh, that's
Have you ever done that? Have you ever put a balloon on your bike or?
So I know that
Speak
Ironman
to
races
that.
at least don't, well, they discourage balloons. So I usually throw my towel over my bike, and this is what I've learned after coming into my first race, thinking I knew where I racked my bike, but then you get there race morning. Racking your bike with a couple hundred bikes out there is one thing. Getting to
Right.
race morning and seeing 2,000 bikes out there, and you're back in the South 40, coming out of the water. So what I learned to do is walk the day before the race, going down and racking my bike. I would go to the swim exit and I would walk the route back to my bike, and I would find visual cues. There's a palm tree, or there's an active.com sign, or and when I get to that blue trash can, I need to hook a left and then look for my towel. And now I start to bring bright colored towels. And I'll throw that over my bike. And as soon as I get out of the water and I've got my sweatsuit zipped down to my waist and I hook that turn into the, you start to run to your bike, I'm looking for those visual cues. It helps me, it relieves a lot of anxiety on the swim, knowing that I just got to look for that trash can, I hook a left and find my towel, and I'm there.
Good idea. Smart move.
Yeah, all right. How about you?
Outstanding.
Yeah,
Well, my bike is normally parked on that first rack. It's like number 5 or 6.
yeah.
So it's pretty easy to find.
We did Oceanside together. You were the first bike.
Well,
As we make
I'm
the loop
normally
back
parked
in.
next to like these German guys like Norman Stadler and,
Ferdinand.
Yeah. So I got to practice my Deutsch in transition. Yeah.
All right, well, tell me about coming back in T2. You're coming
Because I'm there as they're getting off the bike onto the run, and I'm finishing the swim.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I took good care of your bike.
Yeah, not
I'll
true.
take good care
Not
of the bike
true,
while
not
you're
true,
gone.
not true. Tell me about T2, because you're pretty fast on the bike, so you're coming in. T2 is still pretty empty when you get there.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about coming into T2 on your bike and then getting out of there pretty quickly.
Dude, it's a ghost town. When I pull in off the
I'm
bike,
telling you, right.
there's like not a soul.
Yeah, I'm having to jump bodies, dead bodies, when I get in. You
I
don't
hope
get
I
in
hope
with-
you all know
with a ghost town.
I'm joking. I'm totally
Not too
joking.
much, not too much.
All right, so
What are you thinking about coming into T2? Are you preparing in your mind? Okay, I got a couple of miles to go. Okay, here's what I gotta be. Are you planning, preparing?
well, it kind of depends on the distance, but
Yeah.
I'm. What am I thinking? I'm thinking, oh man, I'm so happy to be off this dang bike.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
you
Are you
know.
starting to stretch your legs at all?
A little bit, yes. Yeah, kind of stand up a little bit, stretch, or even just from the saddle, put one leg forward.
Yeah.
Stretch the calves.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's probably a good
Blood
idea.
movement,
Works for
right?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So off the bike, I think there have been a few races where I've taken my feet out of the shoes.
Mhm.
So I've got my feet on top of the shoes,
Right.
which is kind of fun because obviously it allows you to do a faster transition. So
Right.
when you get to the dismount line, it's kind of like,
Had you practiced that?
just dismount. I have practiced that. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, I've gone up and down my street
Yeah.
where I practice
Yeah.
getting my feet out of the shoes.
Right.
And then getting them on top of the shoes and
Yeah.
still trying to keep some speed up.
Right.
Right. It always gets a little more interesting on race day because you got other people around you, and everybody's starting to funnel into the
Yeah.
to the bike finish, and you don't want to cause an accident there, so you got to be a little bit judicious. But yeah, it's kind of fun. You come in, dismount. There have been times where I just come in like I'm just beat from a group ride and barely stagger off the bike and kind of just stagger over back to transition.
Right.
But if I've managed, now here's one of the things that is kind of odd. I don't know how to prevent this, but if you do the right and you're coming in, what do you do to keep your shoes flopping all over the place, you know, from hitting the ground and starting to spin and
I don't know, I don't do that yet.
just cause a whole bunch of ruckus.
I unclip and clicky-clack all the way to rack my bike.
Yeah, well, that's the safest bet.
Yeah.
That's probably your best
Yeah.
idea,
Well,
unless
I
you've got somebody who's gonna take your bike for you
Right,
as you
right.
come across.
Yeah, whole different deal.
Right.
Whole different deal.
So-
You just don't want to, I have this major fear of turfing it,
Yeah.
going out and coming in.
Sure,
I don't want
yeah.
to be that guy.
All right, so
All right, so
anyway.
you're coming in, you find your spot, you rack your bike.
Right, and it's just off with the shoes, which you ought to have your shoes pretty much undone anyway by then, you know,
Yeah.
well, so off with the shoes, get your, if it's a real long possibility, I'm gonna take socks off, reapply the Body Glide to the feet, maybe probably a new
socks,
pair of socks,
right?
yeah, new socks make
Yeah,
you feel
I agree,
fresh.
right?
Reapply Body Glide wherever else you need to.
Okay.
And it's on with a hat, make sure you got your number belt on.
Yeah.
Right? Sunglasses still, and boom, you're out
Yeah.
there.
Now, if it's a full, I think this is an important difference. If a first timer's thinking about planning for a sprint or Olympic or 70.3 versus a full, you're gonna have a changing tent. And you're picking up your bag, you drop your bike, you go and you pick up your T2 bag.
Right.
And you take it into the changing tent. Different than the 70.3 where everything is sitting where you rack your bike.
Rack your bike, yeah.
So with a 70.3, what I like about that is you can have everything laid out. I get there race morning and I lay everything out. My bike stuff, everything is laid out. And then I grab my hat. I've got important stuff in my running shoes. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned that first timers can pick up on. If you've got ibuprofen that you gotta have, if it's Vaseline and you gotta Vaseline up, or Glide, or those special gels you gotta have, I stick them in my shoes because my feet aren't gonna go in. The thought of
Yeah.
missing something as I get out of like mile 2 thinking, man, ibuprofen, I really need that.
So what do you put all that stuff in?
I put the stuff in a shoe, in a running shoe. I put all that stuff in a running shoe. I take my running hat, my
Yeah, but
sunglasses,
do you
and I
have
put them in the other
what
running
sort of
shoe.
container do you keep all the?
I keep them in a plastic Ziploc baggie, a sandwich. The hat and the sunglasses in one shoe and a baggie with the gels and ibuprofen and the Vaseline in the other shoe, and that's really it. So I just got to look at those 2 shoes and go.
So that's one option, to go with the Ziploc baggie. I have a couple of other options. One is a small Altoids tin.
Yeah.
Right? It'll stay nice and shut for you. You can get, if you get the little tiny ones, that's great. You can
Yeah.
get a little bit of moleskin, or, you know, your ibuprofen. I since went to the what is it, Noon? Those
the
yeah,
N-U-U-N, right?
yeah.
Some tubes. Yeah.
And I use an empty tube.
Yeah.
That'll fill with, you know,
Smart.
everything, all that stuff that I need, all the
Right.
salt tablets and stuff
Boom,
like
it
that.
goes right in the back.
Stays nice and sealed. It's
Yep.
easy to kind of just pour a couple out into my hand out of that thing.
I like that.
Yeah, that's worked pretty slick for me.
Yeah, I like. Here's a tip that I've learned over that if I could go back to my first race, I would absolutely change. My first road race where I had transition bags.
Right.
My first race, I thought you're dropping them off the day before, right at transition, and I tied them in a triple X knot that couldn't be undone by the wiliest of coyote. Getting back to transition though was trying to figure out how to untie this bag.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Now I just boom, I tighten a simple thing. Nobody's taking this thing unless a hailstorm comes and knock this thing into the lake. Nothing's happening to it. So it's a real easy boom tie. So when I get in there, it's undone in a flash.
Yep. Good tip.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anything else? I mean, good tips for you.
No, just the Body Glide on the feet and the fresh
Yeah.
socks. For me, that can really make a difference.
Talk
on a long
about
run.
practicing transitions. You really got into me about practicing transitions.
We
And
did,
I
yeah.
appreciate it now more
Yeah.
than I did going into my first race.
Well, it just makes you all the more comfortable You spend all this time training, and so you know you can swim, you know you can do the bike and the run.
Right.
You know, why have something that's going to throw you off your game and get you all discombobulated, and you come in and, I don't know about this and that, and what I do? Just practice it. It doesn't really take that long to practice it. Practice setting everything out, how you're going to have it sitting there. Practice coming in, you know, get your wetsuit off and then get all your run gear on, get on the bike. Practice coming off the bike and getting your run gear on. I think that, yeah, practicing transition is a great idea, if nothing else, for your mental game. I mean, yeah, it's a great idea to take a few minutes off your transition, and you know, my first couple transitions were obviously absolutely horrible and just super long, and I learned a lot from that, right? So take 15, 20 minutes someday after a training run, or before you go out on a run or a bike or something, and say, all right, hey, I'm going to practice setting up transition.
Yeah.
And really kind of get a feel for what this is going to be like come race day.
Right, I think that's good. I would have on practice or on training rides and training runs, I would, as I got closer to race day, I'd put stuff out in transition, and I'd start to do brick workouts.
Yeah.
Or I would first, I'd come off the bike and then do a brick into a 3-mile run and have transition all set up. And practice like it was a for real transition. Last big tip for me is put your name in your wetsuit. I remember being in transition and not appreciating this until after the race, when you get back and there are 1,000 black wetsuits laying all over the place. No, you're not really concerned about taking your wetsuit off and rolling it up and sticking it back in your wetsuit. You're getting the thing off and you're throwing it down underneath your bike, right, and getting out of there. If you're in a 70.3 full, you can maybe stick it in a bag, but still, coming out of the changing tent, get a Sharpie, they've got a spot for your name, write your name in there. You don't want, the guy next to you walking home with your brand new wetsuit.
Great idea, Steve.
Bam.
Once again, if you learn nothing else from this podcast today, kids, take that one to the bank from Uncle Steve.
All right. Hey, listen, that's all the time we've got. Another big shout out to Mama Taylor, happy birthday, and to Kel Harper, happy graduation, brother. We love you. That's Kirk and I. We want to thank you for joining us today. Remember, hey, like us on Facebook at MultiSport Mojo, all one word, where you can weigh in and ask us questions. We'll answer them in an upcoming podcast. Follow us on Twitter at #MultiSport Mojo, and go to TryGearGuru.com for more content and insights and great prices on everything triathlon. Thank you to our sponsors, Try Hard Triathlon Coaching. Contact Try Hard on their Facebook page at Try Hard Coaching. AZRadio.live, your home for independent music artists. Discover them here and promote the betterment of your community. And a big shout out to Big Mike's Recording Studio. Contact Big Mike's Recording Studio at AZRadio.live and get all the polish of a professional recording studio at a price that fits your startup budget. This is the MultiSport Mojo podcast. Triathlon age group gurus doing all the homework, gathering all the insights, answering all your questions to make us all faster, fitter, and fresher in triathlon training and on race day. We'll help get you from start to finish. Our topic next time, I think we're going to talk about special needs bags. This is a biggie. Holy cow. So we'll see you then.
Adios. All righty.